Hey everybody, Rick's here. And in this video what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at a couple of methods for making transfers from your laser printed images. Okay, so that's what we're going to do right now. Alright, what you see before you are two printouts. If you look real closely, you'll notice that I have printed this on just regular printer paper. As a matter of fact, you may be able to see, let's see if I can find it here, but this paper has a little watermark on it. Can't find it, it's very, very light. But these two sheets of paper are identical. They're the same exact printer paper. 20-pound cotton bound printer paper, which you can use in your inkjet or your laser. But for transfers, we do laser prints. Now, why did I print two sheets of the same exact thing? Well, the reason for that is because while this is just regular paper that I printed with my laser printer, this one is specially coated and now is quick transfer paper, which is available at my website. And you'll see on the bottom there it says print on the other side. There's another print right there. It says print on the other side. So this is my specially treated paper, and this has not been specially treated. Both of these, however, came out of the same paper box, but one of them happens to be converted into quick transfer paper. And you may even make out in some of these, right on the edge, you may see a little bit of the special coating that was put on this thing. And by the way, you could just go like this if you have any of that hanging out there. Like right there, you can just go like that and it's gone. But anyway, what I want to do is I want to demonstrate on this nice, brand new, smooth, clean, unpainted wood, the difference between using the method that is commonly done by folks you see on the internet and using the quick transfer paper instead. Does it save you time? Does it make it easier? Does it give you higher quality, lower quality, whatever the case may be? So first off, I'm going to do is I'm going to cut one of these images out. I don't want to do the whole sheet at one time. I did 6 so I can keep experimenting or testing or whatever. Okay, so this here is the untreated one, so I'm going to make sure that this here is, I'm going to put no on it, I guess, for nothing on it. And I'm going to move that over to the side. And now this one, I'm going to cut out again the same. So this is going to be, everything's going to be the same between these two. I just want you to see the difference. And that will help you to make a decision as to what you want to do. Okay, and I'm going to put, of course, quick transfer, but there's a little bit of that text there that will remind me anyway. And let me move this off to the side. All right, so let's glue these on. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Liquitex, which is what I like to use the most. Here you can see I left a little white border on the edge of both of these. And they're just going to be like little pull tabs. So I'm going to fold those back like so. Okay, so this one here is the quick transfer paper. So I'm going to put that off to the side for right now. Let's glue on the regular standard laser print. And this is the way that everybody or all these videos are promoting. And the nice thing is it's free. As long as you've got a laser printer, or go get it printed at Staples or something, and have a sheet of paper, you're good to go. And some, of course, some gel medium. So I'm just going to cover a good area. Usually I would mark how big my transfer is so that I don't have to put more than I need on here, but let's make sure. Now remember, to do this, you've got to make sure you have enough of your glue or your medium or your Mod Podge or whatever. All those things will work, but you want to make sure that you have enough, because anywhere that you don't have any glue or medium or whatever, you're not going to get a good transfer. You're going to end up having streaks and spots and things like that. Okay, I'm going to get a paper towel here because I'm going to get my finger a little bit messy, because this is going to help me ensure that I have good coverage and that there's no dry spots. Otherwise it won't glue completely. And you don't want too much where it just causes paper to wrinkle up. Alright, and there I'm going to put that right down on there like so. Okay, I'm going to use the brayer, and I'm going to squeeze out the excess, and then I'm going to go off the side here to make sure that I'm not putting it back on the back of the paper, because that's not a good thing. Make sure you get all the air bubbles out. And I'm going to try not to get the flap. I want to use that to pull this off. So okay, make sure my flap is still up. There we go. I'm going to bend that back until I see just the image start to show. And then I'm going to pull this like so. Alright, now you want to let this dry. If any part of it starts to bubble up or anything, make sure you flatten it down. You've got to have good contact to not have any spots missing. And that's for any transfer. You've got to make sure that you get all the areas down good. You need good contact. Alright, so this here is this is the regular paper. Okay, so I'm going to just go regular paper, so you know. And I'm going to give it a little head start here real quick so I can flip it over. Alright, that should be good. Now on the other side, I'm going to do the same thing again, but this time with the quick transfer papers image. So lay down some glue. You want to have a sufficient amount, just not too much. And you want to make sure you have good coverage. Use my finger, go like this. All right, put the image down like so. And then from the center out, okay. Don't let it pop up. Make sure you have good contact, because it can stick to the brayer, excuse me, and pull the paper up. So you got to be careful about that. It's another reason why you don't want the back of the paper to be so sticky. Okay, then we're going to let this dry as well. I'm going to go clean my brushes here, and we'll come back
when these are both thoroughly dry, now I'm going to use my hair dryer here to speed it up. It'll take about 4 or 5 minutes for each of them before they're completely dry, but you want to make sure that they're completely dry before you start the process of removing. So make sure that's flat. Alright,
So we'll come back later. Okay, I'm back. And I know it probably seemed like this to you, but it's been a few minutes of blow drying this.
okay. Now, again, I want to remind you all that this paper and this paper are identical.
They're identical. They came from the same manufacturer, the same box. The only difference is I have turned this paper here into what I call Rick Skaduic Quick Transfer Paper, which is available from a link down in my website. So basically, what I'm about to do, you can do with regular copy paper, printer paper, and your laser printer, or you might opt for the quick transfer paper. And hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be able to decide which you'd rather use. Now clearly, if you're using regular printer paper with no special treatment or anything on it, that's going to be your less expensive option. But if you're willing to pay a few pennies for the quick transfer paper for each of those images, then that's an option too. And I think this will really help you to make a decision. Now, the one I'm going to do first is I'm going to do the quick transfer paper one first. And here's the reason why. Number one, that gives even this regular paper even more time to dry if by chance, which I know it doesn't need any more drying, but just in case, you'll know that it got more time than the quick transfer paper. But that's just a small minor point. The second thing is I already know from experience that one of the reasons why I don't like using the standard method of regular paper that you see in a lot of YouTube videos is because it makes a crazy mess and it's time consuming and you'll see. So before I start making a mess on my nice clean table here, we're going to do the quick transfer paper side because it doesn't make a mess. So the first thing you want to do is you want to get some water and get yourself maybe a sponge brush or just a sponge or whatever, and you're going to want to apply moisture to the back of the paper. And make sure that you get the whole area that was glued down. Alright, so you can see that the water should absorb into the paper. And that's what's happening here. And that's what you want. If you want a nice clean release, you want to make sure that the water is actually being absorbed into the paper itself. It's about 30 seconds worth of doing this. And then once you get it all nice and wet, what I like to do is I'll take a clean paper towel and I will just dab it on to take up the excess moisture. You don't need it, and it also will help it not tear as much because you often have tearing. It's just paper, right? Okay, and now I can start peeling. Okay, so there's one part of it right there. And then I'm just going to take off the rest here. Got a little bit right there. Once you get it going, it just comes right off. There you go. All right. So this is the total of removing the quick transfer paper. And it's just regular printer paper. So yeah, when you get it wet, it's going to tear a little bit, but that's it right there. All right. And you have this really nice transfer. Okay?
What was that, 30 seconds? Very little cleanup. Done. All nice and dry. Now, this is the method that we all learned on the internet. That's real cheap. And that all you got to do is just make a printout, glue it on, and then wet the paper and start removing the paper. So here we go. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to wet it. I just dropped my phone. Okay, sorry. All right, we're going to wet that really good. Everything seems the same, right? Okay. I'll even do the same exact thing just so that you can make a comparison. Although I can tell you right now, you're going to want to keep this very wet. All right. But I'm going to do the same thing I did with the quick transfer paper. I'm going to take up the excess, and now let's see if we can just pill it. Yeah, you can pill it all right because nothing is coming off. Okay? Nothing is going to come off. That paper is glued on. You see that? It's glued on, and it's not going to peel off like we did over here. All right? We're going to need to keep this wet. So let's get that water back on there. That's how this method works. All right. And what you have to do is you have to start rubbing. You got to peel this paper off, and your image will start to show through. More water. Now, are you noticing here one of the big reasons why I don't care for this method anymore? This is what I did a couple of years back, and I said, "Oh, this is cool," until I realized there has to be a better way to do this. And you have to be careful. If you just keep rubbing and rubbing in one area, you're going to rub your image off, and then you kind of messed up. Sometimes you want that because it gives it kind of a really cool antique look. But a lot of people I know, including myself, we don't want our image to start coming off. Okay, so let me get something here. I need something to scrape this stuff off with. I'll just use this. Okay, I need to get this mess off here. This wet mess. Okay.
Let me see, can you see that, what we got to do there?
Okay. You got to keep it moist, otherwise this paper isn't going to come off. Be careful with it. Be real gentle. Okay, I'm going to use this paper towel to kind of help me here.
A few moments later. A few inches later.
Took a little off right there, but it's not a big deal. And of course you got the mess. Stay here. Stay here.
Several bad puns later.
Now, excuse me, now you might
Be able to notice that there is a white haze on this image here compared to the rich colors of that one right there. Okay, you can see that this has a white haze to it,
and that's because even though you think you got all the paper off, you don't. Once it dries, you're going to start seeing this paper showing up, which, here, I'll even speed it up for you. I just blew all these papers all over the place. All right.
You see that? You see that white, all that white haze?
Yeah, that's paper. You got to get that all off. So re-wet it. Now another trick is that if you get it down to where you just have that white haze,
Notice when you wet it with water that it looks way better. So what happens is that if you want, once you get it down to where you can see the image really good, but it has that haze, you could put a clear,
oh gosh, it's all wet.
you could put a clear coating on here, like a spray coating or some glue, and it'll dry clear. And then it'll mask the paper haze that you have on here. Otherwise, you need to do what I'm doing right now, and you need to kind of rub and get that paper off. So you can see all these little pieces of paper coming off. I'll put it off to the side here so you can see it. And meanwhile, be careful you don't rub off your image. That's when you know you've rubbed too much. Just get the paper off, and you can feel it as you move your finger because it rolls up all these little tiny balls. I need some more paper here. And see, there's more right there. Look, there's just more. Just when you think you're done, you're not done. It's hard to see it until it dries, and then you have to wet it again anyway, so then you can't see it again. But you can feel it as you move your finger across it. If it keeps rolling up paper, then you know you're not done. Whoops.
One eternity later.
Need a little water here. Okay.
Eventually.
All right, I think I got most of it. Very little, I think it's very little of those paper balls coming off now. And I've, unfortunately, have removed some of the image in the process. Right here and here. But that's okay, it's not a biggie. Okay, there's a little more, but you know what? I got most of it.
And again, you know, spray it, put a coating on it, whatever. You won't have to do it to this one unless you want to. But there you go. Now remember, this is free. And this is going to cost you, well, let's see. This one here had six
6 images on a sheet. A sheet runs about 56, so it's about 10 cents. So for 10 cents, you know, 30 seconds, or free, but it takes a while, and you still, you know, got to deal with all this. So I leave that decision to you. We all have our own priorities, and I just wanted to give you something to contrast. All right, and there you go, folks. Regular paper, quick transfer paper. Hey, if you got any questions or comments, please leave them down below. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified of all my upcoming videos. I have a really cool one coming up here after this one, and it's going to be dealing with transferring images onto such things as these glossy ceramic cups that you can get for like $1 or 50 cents at your dollar store. Okay, so thanks a lot. See ya.